What's up, everyone? This is John Parker. My new ebook called The Smart Lifters Band Training System just dropped today. It is a minimum effective dose training program with variable resistance training. I use the Harambe system primarily because it is the Porsche of all VRT systems. But whatever you guys have, check out the program. Again, only 4 days a week, and I give you 1 month of programming. Okay, this is my life's purpose, is to share with you what I have learned over the years. But today, I want to talk about a couple things. First off, when I started variable resistance training about 1.5 years ago, I thought that it was going to be a fun experiment where I learned some movements and I got some extra movement in, especially while I'm traveling. But after 1.5 years, it's pretty much the only thing I've been doing. Initially, I thought I was going to lose gains because I have a big background in barbells, kettlebells, and dumbbells. I was always very good at lifting weights and lifting heavy, but the problem for me is that on something like a barbell, you can pretty much infinitely load it. So I got myself in a lot of trouble, especially with heavy deadlifts and heavy squats. I would lift very heavy, and eventually I got to a point where I was redlined. I was so incredibly tired, fatigued. This burnout happened in 2018, and it really made me restructure the way I look at strength training. Now it's more about longevity and long-term health. So when I design a program for myself or my students, I make sure to put in what is important and take out all the superfluous. An issue I've had with a lot of the programming that I've seen with variable resistance training is it's all bodybuilding focused. And there's nothing wrong with a bodybuilding focus, but I try and teach my students to get away from the idea that we're going to do a chest day or an arm day or a leg day. It makes absolutely no sense that you would spend one entire session working the small muscles of your arms. Your bicep may weigh 1 pound, and then dedicate an entire day to your legs. There are a ton of muscles in your legs. Your legs carry you, your legs sprint, your legs ride a bicycle, and they also squat and do all the other movements. So destroying your legs 1 day a week is not great for the rest of the things you want to do in your life. For me, I love mountain sports. I love hiking and rucking, snowboarding, mountain biking. I need my legs to be fresh. So what I'm talking about here is the minimum effective dose. If I want to keep my legs fresh for weekend adventures or Muay Thai practice, I'm going to definitely make sure and do my squat variations. I might do 4 to 6 sets of those squats, 4 to 6 sets of my hinging movement, but I'm not going over the top and loading myself so heavy that now I'm sore for a week. So where I come in and where the Smart Lifters Band Training System comes in is that I have applied all of the learning that I have had over the past 16 years, everything from the Czech Institute in my early career to Strong First, which is the past 11 years, to a lot of the Soviet style of programming and strength and power development mixed in with the Western philosophies. So in the ebook, you're going to find 4 training sessions per week, and you're going to be doing explosive concentrics and controlled eccentrics. This is a way I've found to really improve your power production without necessarily doing power exercises. So hope you guys can check that out. It's completely free. And the reason it's free is I just want you to try it. I want to share my knowledge with you, and I want you to let me know what you think. But I just finished a training session, and right now I'm experimenting with some full body exercises on the variable resistance training platforms. And here's why. If I were to program for, let's say, a high school athlete or a college athlete, number one, I'm going to make sure that they're doing a power exercise. This could look like a barbell hang snatch or a barbell power clean. If we have kettlebells, we might be doing double snatches or clean and jerks. The point of the power exercise is that you're moving multiple joints, and the more joints you're moving in your body, the more muscles you're working. So in my training philosophy, I treat every day as an everything day. That's why I hate the concept of an arm day or a chest day. If you're properly working your chest with something like a bench press, you have full activation of your glutes, your lats, your abs, and your grip. A bench press should be a full body exercise. However, on the variable training systems platforms, it can be a little bit more difficult to mimic some of these movements. So a couple ideas I have, I'm going to share those with you. This one is not too hard to get into, which is nice. It's not going to require a lot of setup. You can see I'm on my Harambe system. I have 2 wedges set up for a better mechanical advantage in my ankles. And I've got the X3 Paraforce white band, not super heavy. Here's what I would do. I would set up. I'm gonna make sure that I actually grip in back of the band just in case it, God forbid, snaps. From this position, I'm gonna get into what would look like the bottom of a front squat. You can probably guess what's coming. I am going to do a long press, which is also known as a thruster. So it's like a push press, but I'm going from a full squat. I'll show you 5 or 6 reps, okay? Brace hard. Control. Okay, that felt great. One of my favorite things that I've heard online so many times in the video is someone will see an exercise like that and they will ask, what muscle does that work? To me, it's hilarious. It works all of your muscles. That's the point of movement. You're a human like me. If you're sprinting, what muscle does that work? It works all of them. So we should try and mimic that in our training. Okay, this one is definitely more advanced. I come from a kettlebell background, as you can see, but you can also do this movement with a barbell or dumbbells. It's called the bent press. A lot of you have never heard of a bent press, but it is an old strongman lift. And one of my favorites because it's a full body exercise. Essentially, we have a weight racked with a tight lat. What I'm gonna do is not press up. I'm actually gonna keep my arms strong isometrically, hinge underneath the load. Okay, I can use my arm as a brace. Now from here, it's like the bottom of a windmill coming up and resetting. Let me show you what this looks like. This is a challenging one. So I have loaded this to a pretty strong tension, but I should be able to do a couple reps on each side for you. Here's how I'd set it up. Hand is in the center of the bar, stepping onto the plate. I'm gonna curl it up into my side rack position and turn around. Now, I'm not in a great position here, so I'm actually gonna make sure that my tricep gets on top of my lat. Okay, now I'm set. Watch me push away from the bar. Notice my breathing. This is heavy, that's why I'm breathing that way. One more rep. Okay, setting this down safely. So again, guys, what I want to tell you about variable resistance training is that it's different than loading a barbell or a dumbbell. We're working with tension from the band, and remember that tension comes from the bottom straight up. So sometimes we have to change our body's position in order to find a good range of motion. For instance, if I'm doing rows, I don't necessarily need to row back toward my belly button. Sometimes it works to row straight up. You saw on the long press, also known as the thruster, I did a front squat into a press and I used the momentum from my legs. Finally, on the bent press, it's quite an advanced movement, so be very careful if you try it. I'll do a tutorial later on the bent press. It's one of my favorite lifts and a lot of my colleagues because it just works everything. So great minimalist option. Now, check out the ebook in the subsequent months. On my Strength Axis Substack, you can subscribe to see the next 4 weeks of training. And I'm going to introduce a lot of new exercises for you guys and program how I like to train. Now, I've got 26 years of training under my belt. I've been doing this for a long time. And what I've realized over the past year and a half is I cannot compare variable resistance training to the old training that I used to do. Sure, some of the exercises are similar, but you can't just add weight. You can, however, adjust your body, adjust your grip angle, adjust your starting position, keeping tension on the band. And that's how I felt like I've gained a ton of stability in my joints. When I demonstrate free weight exercise for my clients, they have been flying up with zero practice of the lift that I'm demonstrating. And that goes to show the stability requirements that these things build transfer over into other areas of your life or other sports. So that's what I've got today, guys. I will link to the ebook below, but if you have any other ideas for full body lifts on the variable resistance training platforms and the Harambe System, X3 clench, whatever it is, please let me know, and I'd love for you to be a part of the conversation. Thanks a lot.